What's up? 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 What is up? How are y'all doing today, guys? We are here to talk about Alien Earth, episode 4 for season 1. I am your host, Emmanuel Eman Noisette. Want to thank you guys so much for coming out and hanging out with me to talk about this fantastic show that we have so far. I do want to say that we are going to talk about this episode up, down, left, right, all that good stuff. So, in case you are new and you just don't know how we get down, this is your spoiler alert because we will be going through the entire episode. I'm going to be talking about the things that happen. So, if you haven't watched the episode or if you do care about spoilers, this is the time to skedaddle. Go on now. Shoo. Go watch the episode. Come on back and watch it on the replay. And you can also participate in the comments as well. But I see that there are some folks here that I need to acknowledge. Who do we have tonight? We got Paulette is here. Johnny is here. Thank you so much. Listen. We're going to talk about that octo eyeball. We're going to talk about that because that thing scares me too. Okay. I am equally as scared. Samke, what is going on? Shout out to the replay gang. Kid Mello, I too am loving this show. Who else do we have? Christy, what is up? How are you? Tracy, thank you so much. Yes, listen, I got kids. I gotta feed the kids, and I need these YouTube views to do something for the kids. Okay, got the oldest in college right now. Your boy is trying to work. Okay, I'm trying to work. Yes. DePaul, what is up? Good to see you. Who else? Let's see. Did I say hi to Treese? Just in case. Okay, Treese, what is up? Good to see you too. Let's see. Mad, appreciate you coming through. Hello, Kristen. Appreciate you holding it down for the mod squad. Andrew, how you doing? Miss Honey. Hello. It has been a minute. I like that. Miss Honey. I believe that's just the way it should be pronounced. I'm just gonna say honey. I feel like that's the right way to do it. That's the way you spelt it. That's how I'm gonna say it. Tasha, good to see you. My man Mitch is here as well. What is up? All right, guys, let's jump into this episode. There's a lot of juicy things that have happened. I got a theory that I want to share with you guys at the end of the video. I wonder if anyone else has picked this up. I know y'all be watching them other channels. I know y'all do. So I'm just wondering if I haven't watched some other channels. I don't know if the other channels are going to have the same theory that I have. So let's try and find out. Let's see if we can find out, because I think I saw some things that that might be a little interesting for us to jump into. Anyway, so let's kick it off. So first off, we have Wendy. Now remember, Wendy had kind of passed out from the experimentation on the alien when Kirsch was like slicing and dicing them up and everything. So now they are running all these tests and everything on her. So we kick it off with her, and she's not able to hear anything because they turned off the volume on her hearing. And you got the scientists and the doctors and stuff. Everybody is like really trying to figure out what's going on. Now Kirsch, he mentioned something. Now Kirsch is very observant. Okay, Kirsch said, like, listen, she was hearing a sound, and it only, whatever that sound was, it got louder once they got closer to the xenomorph. So Kirsch, he's putting two and two together pretty fast, right? And he specified that this this did not happen. She's not hearing these noises when she's next to like those other species. It's only with the xenomorphs that she's hearing all these noises. And he also tries to explain what's going on, but Boy Cavalier comes in and was like, hey man, just pretend I already know. Okay, pretend I'm the smartest guy in the world. Go on and do some things. Go in the lab, right? And he tells the doctors to leave and everything. Now Joe comes in, he tries to check up on Wendy, but Boy Cavalier reminds him that, like, hey, just want to let you know, you work for me. Okay, you work for me. And by the way, he teases what they did with his lung, and we've seen what they've been doing with his lung. Anyway, they increased the volume of Wendy's hearing, and she is able to hear again. And she described the sound that she heard kind of like bugs rubbing their legs together. So kind of like crickets. you know, like how they kind of make that noise with their legs and stuff. And she said that the baby alien was screaming. Okay, so she is really like able to pick up on this frequency from what it appears to be that the aliens are communicating out there. Now Arthur, he was going to try and make the noise stop, but both Wendy and Boy were like, hell nah, we want this to keep going, because she believes that the aliens picked her and that they're talking to her. This has got to be important information somewhere down the line. Is this possible? Is it possible for this xenomorph alien species to choose someone to actually speak to? Now, keep in mind, she's still a kid, right? Mentally wise. So maybe they picked her, or maybe that's just the way she's interpreting it with her mind. We don't know yet, but that is something to maybe keep in mind. Now, when they test different frequencies, you know, Wendy can pick up the sound, but it turns out that Curly cannot hear it at all. So she's clearly, clearly there's something special going on with Wendy, where only she's the only one that can pick up on this frequency. So once again, this is kind of strange, right? Because Wendy, not only is she able to like only hear this frequency where she believes the aliens picked her, keep in mind, Wendy also can do other things that the other hybrids can't do. She's able to, like, what do they call it? Telepathy or whatever. She's able to do that with other electronics, right? She can talk to other electronics. So it's interesting that she's the only one that can do this, but the other hybrids can't. So Boy comes up to her and says, like, listen, just mimic the sounds that you're hearing, you know, act like your voice is like a speaker box and just spit it out, right? And Boy didn't, but he did not have to rub it in Curly's face. Because once Wendy started going cuckoo, cuckoo, oh, whatever she was doing, Boy was like, hey, Curly, bet you can't do that. I know you can speak French, but I bet you can't do that. Man, did y'all see Curly's face? Curly, listen, this might just be the origin story for a villain. Don't do this. Now, Boy is already clearly manipulative here with how he is, you know, positioning and using Curly against, you know, pitting her against everybody else, I guess, the other hybrids. He didn't have to do this. This was kind of bogus. But either way, Boy tells his assistant, I believe his name is Alan. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But he tells him, hey, go remind Joe that he works for me. Okay. I need him to remember he works for me. Wendy asks if Joe was mad at her because he had to go to her funeral. And he was like, nah, you know, he's mad at the system. He's mad at the corporations. If he could have gone to the hospital, if he could have gone to the funeral, he would have. But he mentioned that there was a whole war going on. Now, I'm sitting here thinking, like, what war are you talking about? Like, what was going on in this world? Now, we do get a clue about it later, but he was clearly fighting some sort of war, and that's why he was not able to participate with her as much as he liked to. And I did think it was kind of nice to see them kind of reliving their childhood past, you know, by watching Ice Age, just like they did when they were kids. Meanwhile, we see Slightly walking into the forest, and he's talking to Murrow again, and Murrow asks him for one of the xenomorph eggs. And he easily starts to manipulate Slightly, and he convinces him to steal one of the eggs back for him. And, you know, he establishes trust by telling him his name. I believe it was Kumi. And Slightly dumbly gives up his real name. And that's all Murrow needs to get more information that clearly he's going to use against him later. And we go back to Slightly's room. We see Kirsch looking at those three monkeys. And this is really just metaphoric about, or metaphor for probably a lot of the themes that are going to go on in the show. You're going to see people that hear things that are evil and do nothing about it. They're gonna say they're not gonna talk or speak up when they see bad things, and they're gonna just turn a blind eye to a lot of the atrocities that they're doing on this island. So I'm more than positive that this is just a representation thematically for what they're doing here. And this is also a test, right? Like this was a test for slightly, because keep in mind, Kirsch has been following him the whole time, right? So he's really trying to see, like, hey, would you do this if I did something wrong? Like Kirsch was like, if I hurt somebody, would you say something? And slightly failed the test. Okay, he said, I stand up for my friends. Well, who are your friends? What friends? He failed. Okay, he failed immediately. Anyway, whoa, we go back to the lab, and it's the octo eyeball back at it. And now this thing done took over that poor little lamb. Mary had a little lamb, and now Mary's lamb got only one eyeball, because now this thing done stood up on its hind legs. And we can see here, according to these gamma radiation waves, that this creature, this eyeball creature, is highly intelligent. Okay. And not only was this looking at, it was looking at Kirsch at first, right? And then all of a sudden, boy, you could see boy getting jealous. He was getting mad. He's like, what you looking at that android for? You better look at me. I'm the one that runs this place. I'm the one that pays for the electric bill. You look at me. The lamb said, oh, word, bet. So now you can see that there's definitely some sort of fascination between boy and this lamb, or this eyeball creature or whatever. Let me tell you something. The second they said that this thing was highly intelligent, I'm sitting here like, yo, scary. The last thing you want in any type of horror thing at all is a highly intelligent monster. You do not want that. You'd rather have a vicious, scary monster, but at least you can rely on your brains to outsmart it or something. No. This thing can think. It doesn't think, it thinks. Okay? It can think a lot. And you notice it's real quiet. All it's doing is watching. That's all it does. You even saw that in the last episode. It would sit there. It would study whoever was around or whatever was around. It would hide sometimes, and then it would pounce when it needed to pounce. This thing is probably more dangerous than the actual xenomorph itself. I don't like it. Nope, I don't. The xenomorph, that's one thing. At least it's more animalistic. This thing is going to be a problem. Imagine if this thing gets inside of a human. I think even Alan said that. Like, he was like, man, if that thing get in a human, we pop. We are popped. Are you kidding me? Sir, we're done. Nah, man, that's going to be a problem. I have a feeling that will happen. I feel like they're foreshadowing that. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a scary situation if you have a highly intelligent species that can look like a human body part in a human, and it's smart. Nah, G. Nah. And by the way, I don't know if we saw it. I don't know if we talked about it, but they talked about that when Kirsch was downloading the information from the computer. It had information on the eyeball, and it said this thing had human-like intelligence. So listen, this is a problem. This is going to be a problem. Anyway, we see here, and boy is like, look at me. I'm the captain now. Right? So anyway, we move on into the forest, and we see Arthur. He's expressing his frustration, and we find out that Dr. Sylvia is actually his wife, and he is concerned. He's concerned about Wendy and how boy is handling all these situations. He doesn't like how things are followed. They're not following the scientific method, right? And boy, he's being reckless with everything, right? And then he's like, the doctor was kind of like, listen, like, it's okay. It's fine. This is why he's a trillionaire, right? And Arthur was like, listen, worst case scenario, you know what I'm saying? We probably, or best case scenario, we got some AIs that think that they are human, or worst case, we just killed 6 kids. Okay. So first of all, I think that kind of answers our question right now. which is a little disappointing, and that is they're not human. These are just they're advanced synthetics, but they're kind of like I thought that they were going to be beyond what a synthetic was, but at the very what it sounds like all it was they just copied the brain patterns and they just made an AI that believes it was this child. That sucks. But that maybe it comes with an advantage. Maybe it comes with, well, no, because we about to come up here. I was calling her Nibs before, Curly before. That's actually Nibs. Nibs is the problem. We're going to get to that but in a second. But here comes Nibs. And now she's over here talking about she about to have a baby. Well, now the question is, who's the pappy? Huh? Nibs, who is the pappy for Nibs? Because I'm just saying, like, there's a problem. How these hybrids about to sit here and have some kids? From what? Whose oil were you pumping? What did this happen? How? So of course everybody's like, the hell? What? And listen, she is convinced, even though they told her this can't happen. And the doctor was like, hey, we need to go have a whole talk. Let's go. Come on. Let's go have a talk in my office. She was like, whatever, I'm pregos. So we got to be careful, Anyway, look at her face. Okay. When I tell you, I don't care how old you are. I don't care what's going on. If I see somebody curled up in a chair like that, I'm not talking to them. I'm going to leave them alone. Because clearly they got some troubles with their thoughts and they need to be by themselves and with God or whoever. I'm not bothering nobody curled up with a stuffed animal staring off into space. You don't need my help. You could go on by yourself, okay? Have a nice day. I'll see you on the flip side. Anyway, you see, look, she look crazy. She looks crazy. But anyway, Nibs is talking to Dr. Sylvia. She tried to talk now. Doctor tried to talk about the birds and the bees, and Nibs was like, listen, I grew up on a whole farm. I know how the pigs get down. I don't need no help. And then, the doctor was like, well, how'd you get pregnant? She was like, God got me pregnant. God over here like, hey, leave me out of this. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing that y'all doing down there. Leave me out of this. And then she went ahead and started talking about, well, shoot, Jesus ain't have no real daddy. Leave Jesus out this too, please. Jesus and God ain't got nothing to do with whatever's going on in your psycho head with your zeros and ones. Anyway, Nibs is barely listening to what the doctor is talking about. And out of nowhere, she just kicks the book out of her hand. Yo, I'm telling you, I feel like this show just throws red flags everywhere. Here's a red flag. There's a red flag. Here's a red flag. And everybody's like, what red flag? I don't see no red flag. You just got a hybrid synthetic advanced robot picking a book out your hands, and she thinks she's prego. You think I'm finna be in the same room with you? Are you mad? That doctor should have known. What happened to this doctor's training? I'm just saying, she should have been like, session over, we're gone. But no, she decided to keep asking questions that this little girl told her, I don't want to talk about. You breaking, what is that, the patient doctor confidentiality or whatever. You breaking practice. You breaking protocol. And look at her. She still look crazy. She still look crazy. You ain't see them signs? Somebody say, I don't want to talk, and they look over there and they not looking at you. That's a sign. Move. And all of a sudden, she got all up in her face. That's what, and look, the doctor started listening then. She was like, oh, okay, yeah, we don't have to talk about nothing. Look at that face. Ain't no way. boy, ain't no way. Ain't no way, boy. You not finna pounce on me. Are you kidding me? Do y'all realize that she could kill this doctor so fast? Like, these synthetics are stupid strong. They are stupid strong. She could crush her face. She could rip her head off. She could dig her hand in her heart so fast. Whew. Well, clearly shook. The doctor calls for the security to escort Nibs back to her room. And she says, yo, this is protocol midnight orange, red alert. Go tell your supervisors. Okay, this is a problem. Take her back to her room. Okay, so listen. This chick got to go. She has got to go. And I will say that this is yet again another downfall and creatively of having these childlike minds, because they're dealing with complicated psychological situations that they are clearly not meant or capable of handling. But she got to go. Y'all gonna have to flip that switch. I'm sorry to say it, whatever. Turn off. Y'all gonna have to turn her off, dump her in the electric, recycling bin, whatever. She's got to go. It's too many. It's too many manufacturer, faults. She got to go. She got to go. Anyway, we see Alan here. He calls Joe in to talk about Wendy, and he reminds Joe that if he quits, then he can leave the island, and they're gonna have to hit him with that crazy medical bill, because they did give him a whole new lung and put it in his body. And y'all already know Joe ain't got no money. Look at his face. He ain't got no money. So Joe said, listen, I was just playing, man. I mean, listen, I'll keep being an employee. I got no problem working with y'all. But like, listen, but about my sister. And Alan was like, man, that ain't your sister. What are you talking about, man? Wendy is our property. Okay. She is a property of Prodigy. She is, an android. Like, you think she's human. She ain't. She ain't human at all, which is once again confirmation that these hybrids are not really hybrids, right? Like, they're actually synthetics with a advanced AI, so to speak, or a different AI. And he was just like, give that up, man. The dream is over. Your sister, he was like, you think that's your sister? Yeah, all right. No, it's not, but whatever. Anyway, we do move on, and we see Boy is watching everything. Okay, he is watching everything, which should let us know that, like, first of all, Buddy is a creep. All right, first of all, he's a creep, but second of all, he's gaining information every conversation people have. So just keep that in mind. And we see here that he's even watching Joe while he goes and talks with his friends. Now Wendy comes in because she thinks she's about to talk to Dr. Sylvia, but instead, Boy got his dirty feet up there and tells her to have a seat. He makes a quick remark about how family can be frustrating when they are always telling you what to do and stuff. And what's interesting here is that he tries to drive a wedge between Joe and Wendy by mentioning that he didn't even visit her while she was sick. Now, remember, they had that whole conversation. He was like, man, I was at war. Like, I would have if I could have, but he's trying to be messy, right? And this is because Boy has been spying on their conversations, as I mentioned, and he makes a deal. They both make a deal together. And the deal is that basically, if she helps him, understand the aliens and talk and all that, her brother can stay. And Boy was like, I bet we got a deal, right? So now we go into the lab, and they continue running the tests on the octo eyeball, and this thing is still watching them. It ain't take its eyeball off of them at all. This is a problem. This goat, this sheep is going to be a problem, clearly. One of the hybrids decides to change his name. I forget his original name, but he's now going to be called Isaac. And what I liked about this is that it's an important step in the hybrid's evolution, because it's one of the few times we saw this with Curly also, where she kind of they get to exercise some autonomy, right? Like, she was like, yo, I want to be your favorite. I want to do this. Okay, fine, whatever. Well, Isaac over here, Toodles, thank you. Toodles is a terrible name. It's a terrible name. But I like the fact that he wanted to do this, because if you recall, back when they were humans, he did say that he wants to grow up and be a scientist. So being, named after Isaac Newton, perfectly fitting. And I like this because this is a way for them to gain a sense of autonomy, a sense of identity. And I mean, naming yourself rather than being named, by someone or something else, it is claiming, it's reclaiming your identity, and having that sense of power. So in a sense, they're growing up. They are growing up. Anyway, Slightly said that he needed something in the lab, and when he was questioned about it, he was like, see, what had happened was and Isaac was just like, man, whatever, we could just go play later. And what's interesting about this is just the fact that these kids, they don't know how to lie, because lying is something that, like, adults learn how to lie. Like, kids don't just lie out of nowhere, right? So you have to learn how to lie, and clearly they don't know how to lie, and they're too dumb to realize when they're being lied to, even by a bad liar. So I did like that. I thought that was kind of funny. Anyway, we see Kirsch, he's hacking into Slightly, and he is overhearing the conversation with him and Morrow. And you can see here he can see the implant or whatever that was put into Slightly's neck. And he is overhearing their whole conversation. Now, Slightly tells Morrow, like, yo, I can't steal the egg in the lab. It can't happen. It's just, I'm sorry, I can't do it. And Morrow was like, man, that's too bad. Oh, and by the way, your mama. He was like, your mama? What you mean, your mama? What are you talking about? Yeah, that's right. I got your mama right here, right? And he tells Slightly, listen, go find me a human being. Go find a human, put their face right next to the egg. It's going to have a little face hugger on it. They'll be all right. And bring me that person right after, right? And then all of a sudden, we see again, Kirsch is hearing all of this, and Slightly's just like, I don't know what to do with this, boss. And by the way, can we just give it up for this brother? This brother is acting his tail off. Like, when I tell you, I don't like him, because he's going full villain, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it, but the real question here is, what is Kirsch trying to do? What game is he trying to play here? Is he trying to set up Morrow and trap him? Or does he have some other ulterior plan in store? I don't know. But right now he is absolutely he's up to something. Anyway, we see the hybrids. They're joking around with Joe and with that chip or whatever. And I guess the chip has like a script written on it that basically is zeros and ones of flavor. And so it's delicious for the kids, but it's not obviously meant for humans to eat. Anyway, Curly asked Joe about the five companies. And that's where Joe was like, oh, about the 5 companies. We used to have a whole government, but they didn't work. And since they didn't work, the 5 companies came together and they started running things. So I think this is where we get our insight about what happened to the world before. There clearly was some sort of world war, right? Where the governments went to war with each other. It didn't work, or maybe it worked too well. And the companies was like, all right, we're just going to take over. So this must have been the war that Joe was talking about earlier, that he was fighting. And it's probably a precursor to the rise of companies. I do wonder, would that make for a good TV show? I don't think so, because you need some aliens running around. But it is interesting, nevertheless, to see how capitalism basically took over the world. Anyway, Slightly came in and immediately started hating on sight. He questioned, why the hell does Joe get to be here, but yet our families are not able to be here? We can't be here with our families. But you know what? Listen, he was making sense. He was coming from an understandable place, right? He was just confronted with the reality that his parents and family, they aren't here, right? They're not there, and his are currently being threatened and possibly about to be killed. Meanwhile, Joe was just sitting there laughing, chucking it away with everybody, having fun with his sister. it does not appear to be fair, right? So Smee, he was like, you know what? You're right, man. We should request for our families, to see them and stuff. And Slightly was like, nah, man, we need to demand it, right? But the other hybrids was like, man, y'all better chill out. I like it here. You know what I'm saying? Isaac was like, shoot, I get to be a whole scientist. Y'all can move on with that. Okay. I'm comfortable. I am very happy here. And Slightly was just looking like, man, this some BS. Some BS. So Joe's just like, yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Uh-huh. Anyway, we get some flashbacks here or some cut scenes of Joe's um lung with the alien incubating inside of it. Of course, we have it with the eggs, and then of course we also see Wendy. She is trying to communicate with this baby that's inside of it. We see the scar from Joe's surgery, and meanwhile, outside, like a whole creep, Slightly is watching Joe, and he's looking at him like, "You looking like a nice looking human over there." Uh-huh. Sure do look like a good human that could use a nice face hugger anytime now. Just being a whole creep. And meanwhile, as Wendy continues to look at communicate with the alien, Kirsch is watching all of this as well. And the creatures does start to get a little wild, breaks out. We see the alien in its very small form. And of course, Wendy is able to communicate with it to the point where she can pet it. And now she's just in love with this thing. I don't know if this is like just like a snake charmer, but I don't know if this is like a parental type of thing that's going on, or if this is like a friendship that's going on. Not really sure, because she has been communicating with this thing for a while. And I'll bring this back to it was Alien Covenant. In Alien Covenant, you had David when he raised not the xenomorph, but like the first version of the aliens, and he was doing certain things with it, and it was mimicking him. So I don't know how to explain it just yet, but there is some sort of connection that these synthetics are able to make. A deacon, thank you. So yeah, they are able to make those connections with it. So that was it for this episode. I think I want to give you guys my theory. I'm trying to see if I have an image for you though. Do I have an image for it? Might not have the image. Okay. Yeah, my computer want to act up. All right. Let me just walk you through this theory real quick. So, real quick, I think we just got a major clue in this story. Now, maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to call it major, maybe you want to call it minor, but I believe that episode 4 of Alien Earth just revealed something interesting that some people might have missed. So, back in episode 1 of the season, Boy threw a ball at Wendy, and she immediately caught it, thanks to being a synthetic with all these high functioning reflexes, right? Well, we just saw Alan, his assistant, do the same thing. The moment Boy threw that ball, Alan caught that sucker real fast. Now, that seems a lot faster than a man that appears to be his age should be able to do. So I believe that his assistant is also a synthetic. However, there's a twist here to consider. Back when Murrow was looking up Boy's background information, it said something about how Boy experienced some sort of loss with his family or something like that, but it never really said like who he lost or what he lost or what happened. Now, later, we also hear Boy talking to Wendy, and he has a certain disdain for family. He's like, ugh, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, they always telling you what to do. So I believe that it's possible that he was probably responsible for the death of his family. But even crazier than that, more twisted, I believe that Boy took the loss of his family and twisted it and made a synthetic in the image of his actual father. Why? Because now, rather than his father telling him what to do all the time, it's the other way around. Now he can boss his dad around as a synthetic. And I think this is just a twisted, sick way of this trillionaire boy being able to just have his way. So you guys let me know, what do you think about that theory? Do you think that the assistant is actually Boy Cavalier's father, his dead father, like made in his image, or maybe he's just some random old guy that he liked? I don't know. Whatever you think, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. All right, let's go. And I didn't even have my stuff up. All right. Anyway, guys, this is the point where I need you to let me know, what did you think about this episode on a scale from 0 to 10. Feel free to let me know as you're talking. Let me kind of review and go through the episode and give you some thoughts. Definitely enjoying the story so far. I'm liking the elevation. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get more into whether or not these things are actually hybrids or if they're human. It seems like they just went straight for it and just like, nah, they just hybrids, or they just synthetics. Clearly there is some more setup happening. There's a little bit more escalation going on with Slightly. So I'm cool with the story. I like the little not too much action in this one. Although I will say that I think that it is going to pick up its pace here. So overall, I think that episode 4, it was cool, nothing mind-blowing, but at the same time, it's keeping up the tension, it's keeping up the curiosity. This eyeball thing, yo, you have my attention with the eyeball, okay, with the octo eyeball. But anyway, guys, I think that when it comes to the rating, I'm going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10. I liked it, solid, decent, good cinematography as well. I really like the cinematographer. I love how they just be editing back and forth and doing stuff like that. I think that works out very well. And these themes, you know, of like what's human and stuff, I am enjoying that. So nothing too crazy in your face, but overall still pretty good. All right, let's see, what do the people think? 9.5, 7, 7.5, 7.5, 6, 9, 9.7, 8.5, 8.5, 9.5, 7, 7.5, 8.5, 9, 9, 7, 8, 7. Who else? 8, 8.5, 8.5, 8. Okay, 8, 9. Okay, cool. So overall, I think y'all liked it a little more than I did, and that's okay. But I think overall we can agree we liked it. Good episode. Overall. All right, let's go. I got a couple questions here. Talented one. What you got? Is iZilla limited to purely organic hosts? Great name. I wish I had came up with that. That's good. So according to, because I went back and nerded out on the thing. According to the, if you go back, I think it's like episode 3 or whatever, when Kirsch is downloading all the information from the ship, it actually tells you information about the eye, and it does only go for organic bio, material. So I don't believe it will go after a synthetic. So this is interesting, right? Because remember, it went after the crazy redhead chick, right? Nibs. So that means that the octo eyeball, it did not know that she was a synthetic. It probably would have, attacked her and been like, "What is this? I can't get jiggy with this." So it will go after organic things. So yeah, and it does confirm that in the screen when you're reading it. Just my opinion. Thank you so much, brother. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe to him if you haven't already. How many seasons do you think we'll get? So that's a very good question. I mean, I saw the interview with Noah Hawley, the showrunner, where he was like, "Hey, if this show does well, then we can get, they can expand and do more with it." personally, I think that it definitely can use a second season. There's no question about it. What else is FX about to do? Y'all need this to keep cooking, right? So I can totally see that. And not to mention, there's a long bit of time that you can continue filling in holes. And more importantly, you can find a way to continue connecting the dots to the other movies. So, for one, I already have the impression that we're going to see either all these hybrids or maybe Wendy, because she's like the most special. I could see them in a future Alien movie, right? So, right after Alien Resurrection, I think that's the latest one. They should still be alive because these things don't age, they don't die, whatever. So I could totally see Wendy all the way in the future still showing up, or maybe another one of these hybrids walking around. So this could absolutely be a way to kind of like set something like that up. But I would go for if I had to bet, I know for a fact they have to do another season. But if I had to guess, I would say maybe 3 seasons, if that, because I don't know. I don't know, but they definitely got to do a second season. Have to. But all right, man. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Okay, guys, that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for joining. I will leave you guys with this. I cheated just a little bit. I took a sneak peek at episode 5. That sucker is on point. It is on point, and I cannot wait till we talk about it. Please make sure you do not miss episode 5. We gonna have a lot to talk about. We gonna have a lot to talk about. Okay, we gonna talk about it a whole lot. So make sure y'all go check that out. We will be back here. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I got me some fantasy drafts I got to do. Hold on. What time we gonna come back? Wednesday. Okay, yeah, we'll be back Wednesday. I don't have no drafts on Wednesday. Okay, I think we're all right. Woo! Close. Anyway, all right, guys, we will be back next week, same time. I'll see you guys at that point. I don't know. Do we have Friday? Hold on. Do I have a draft on Friday? Oh man, I have no draft on Friday. Okay, I think we good on Friday too. Cool. All right. See you guys on Friday. And then on Wednesday. Man, just made it. All right, y'all. You know the routine. Wash your hands, wash your butts, have a great, and everything in between. Have a great rest of your week. If I don't see you guys later. Peace.